People who are looking to increase their influence, people who want to actually change the world. What are you doing today that is going to grow your influence? I'm Cody Leibold, and today we are looking at how to grow your platform, part 4, how to finance your platform growth. How are you going to get this message out to people? And how are you going to find a way to do it sustainably? That is the challenge. Or how are you going to get paid to help somebody else get their message out that they believe in? That's basically the two ways that you can go about this. If you're trying to change the world from an online writing, publishing platform, you be doing the work and getting your message out there, or you be helping other people do the work and get the message out there. Perhaps you should be doing both even at the same time. So how many minutes today are you spending writing and putting your writing in front of some other people in some form, podcast, video, blog, whatever? How many minutes are you getting paid to propagate a message that you actually believe in? Now, if you haven't figured out how to do this, to get paid to do it, then it's time to get serious. Let's look at several scripture passages that are going to move our minds in the right direction. So start with Luke 14:28. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? And then Luke 16, verse 8b, it says, "For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is done, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings." And a couple of verses later, it says, "So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches?" Jesus is telling us that we need to be thinking intentionally, purposefully about how to use the opportunities we have today that will not be here in a different time. Proverbs 10:4, lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. Part of what we're talking about today is how to bring in wealth, how to finance your platform growth. You have to do that, and the Bible is not anti-wealth, despite what some people would want you to believe. Proverbs 13:22, a good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. Proverbs 13:11, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. And what we are doing is not the kind of thing where it's a dishonest money grab. It's the kind of thing where little by little you make your money grow by doing work for other people that helps them. So you are a Christian communicator. You're wanting to get your writing seen, and you know it's going to take resources. It's going to take money. You're passionate about true ideas. You want to have an impact. And you know that you're going to need to use means to that end, means that will attract readers. Be purposeful about it. Think about how to do it before you go and spend 5 years in a cave writing something that you're going to call your masterpiece, but that nobody's ever going to read. Other people are getting their ideas seen and heard. And there are even people getting their ideas seen and read by thousands or millions of people. Remember this, what one man can do, another man can do. So what is it that these people are doing right? And what is the way to get on that path to do the same thing? None of us are wanting to be famous for fame's sake. We are passionate about our message. So we look at influential people that came before us, people like R.C. Sproul, as examples of what it looks like to be intentional, earning the trust of an audience and giving them a true message that actually helps them. So that's why we are here today. Part 4, how to finance your platform growth. Now, a recap of parts 1, 2, and 3. Part 1 was confronting mental roadblocks that keep us from expanding our influence. Part 2 is how to decide what your platform should focus on and lay the groundwork and stick with it. Part 3 was content creation. How do you create content that people want, that people find helpful? And how do you fit your content strategically together into an overall plan that is going to grow your platform? So now we get to a lot deeper into the nitty-gritty of how do you finance it. And this is going to combine with the material that we've done so far, especially about content creation, but we're going to look at how that turns into revenue for you. Here's an outline of where we're going to go today. 7 points. 1, how to think as someone growing a business. 2, how to decide your offer. 3, how to publicize your offer. 4, getting to know potential clients. 5, making sales. 6, collecting testimonials. And 7, A/B testing growth tactics for sustained growth. So we will jump right in. I would like to pause for a minute if there's any questions on anything I've said so far, and then I'll jump right into point 1. Questions? Good to go. All right, so number 1, how to think as somebody growing a business. If you're going to invest your time or your money or both into something, it needs to be the kind of thing that's going to save you time long term, or that it's going to recuperate the income and the expenses long term. So otherwise, you're just not growing an enterprise. So for instance, if I write a blog post and I boost it on Facebook for $20, I might bring in 500 readers. Yay, 500 people saw what I had to say. Now I can do that once, but I can't do that every day unless I have some plan to recuperate the expense. My goal is to attract readers long range and to have an influence on them. And so I might think, oh, this is great. I've got 500 readers, but then they don't come back the next day. What can you do to make sure that the money that you spend brings them back the next day also, or helps you toward your overall goal in some way to grow an enterprise? What can you be doing long term? The ad spend might feel great, but it's not great if it's not regenerating itself. So how can you regenerate it? You can. There is a way to regenerate it. The way that you get to that point is you figure out how anytime you spend money, or in fact, anytime you put in a whole bunch of time to getting something, there's going to be a return on investment, an ROI for what you are spending. So for instance, create a functioning system where if you spend $100 on ad spends, you know that you're going to bring in $200 in revenue from your client work or from your sales of something. And it needs to be a big margin like that, because you have to account for the fact that you're not just paying for the ad spend, you're also paying for whatever work that generates. You're going to have to pay yourself for your time. If you generate a client, you're going to have to actually pay yourself salary for the time to do the work. Also, there's risks because sometimes you spend money and it doesn't pan out. Also, there's taxes on your income. So you need large margins. But if you can consistently have a system in place where you're spending spending 100 and generating 200, then you know that you can continue investing that over time and pace it out. So that's why you have to charge high. You have to position your offering as being premium value offerings. This is not bargain discount pricing. That's not the right approach for this. You're not Walmart. You're not selling to 1 million people or 300 million people. So your goal is to grow. Don't compete on price. Compete on the quality of what it is that you're delivering. And find people who are willing to pay a premium to get your premium best work. So the best thing to be spending ad money or time on right now is going to be growing your email list. The reason is that your email list is your persistent asset. You get likes on a Facebook post and nobody cares about that a week from now, but you get people in your email list. That's a benefit to you for the long range. Facebook cannot take it away from you. So having a large email list and a responsive email list is the same thing as having an audience. It's the same thing. And if you're looking for a way to quantify your audience, the number of people who clicked open on your emails is the best measure. So let's talk about how email lists or email newsletters work. This is something that most people haven't had experience with. So I'm going to share about the tools and how do we use these tools. So think about the emails that you receive each week from websites that you've subscribed to. Maybe you've subscribed to updates from a certain company, like a ministry or an organization or a blog. So the Daily Wire with Ben Shapiro, The Federalist, Sovereign Nations, Enemies Within the Church, Michael Hyatt. Now, the common theme of what these organizations are doing is that they send emails on a regular basis, a newsletter. And they tell you when they have new articles posted at their website. And they may also email you sometimes about things they're selling, which could be events, books, online training, or coaching, or other things like that. So you've come to expect from these organizations that they offer a certain kind of thing, free content on this topic, and also things that you can buy on the same topic or similar topic. They see their newsletter as being the main way that they are building a connection with you, the reader. And everything that they send you is designed to grow that connection. It's designed to help you trust them and to consider them as being a useful resource, something that meets your needs. So the Daily Wire, Federalist, you have a need for news. Sovereign Nations, Enemies Within the Church. If you're a conservative and a Christian, you're interested in news that specifically relates to that and that tracks with the culture war. Michael Hyatt, he offers leadership training. You get the idea. Now, each of these organizations offers ways that you can get valuable material from them for free Or you can get even more material if you want to pay for a premium experience. And so they might offer a special newsletter just for subscribing members. They might offer a membership site, a video course, an event, conference, something to donate to. Get the Leftist Tears mug, and you'll get all of our content, and you just subscribe for a year. So to send these newsletters, these organizations are using a tool like MailChimp or ConvertKit or similar ones. And these are called email marketing tools or email service providers. And you create an online account, you pay somewhere starting out from either free or $15 a month or about $30 a month, depending on which service you get. And you have the ability to capture email addresses from an online form, or you can input them manually. If your dad says, I want to be on your email list, you can take his email address and just enter it in. And then you send them email broadcasts. And you send it to either everybody, or maybe you just want to segment it to some people on your list. You can even set up automations. So let's say somebody joins your email list for the very first time. It will automatically send them an email that says, welcome to the email list. And by the way, here's my free ebook. Click here to get it. And then day 2, they get another email that says, by the way, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. Here's my Facebook page. Click here if you want to follow it. You can onboard people into getting to know you, and you can do it automatically. It's a really powerful tool for building a little bit of trust and a little bit of connection with the people that are on your list. Generally speaking, if you are in the space of digital marketing, digital publications, then you are involved in email marketing, and your email list is the center of your work. It's your most important tool. It's your most important asset. One of the best ways that I know to grow your platform is for you to learn the ins and outs of email list management. Learn the tools like MailChimp, which is free to get started. Learn the best practices, read some blogs about it. It's actually, if you just go looking for it, you can find a lot about it. And you can get started today. It's not actually too complicated to learn. It's a little overwhelming at first, but it just takes doing it and looking at how others are doing it. Pay attention when you get emails from people and look at what they're doing. How are they doing it? You can see other people's marketing. That's the nature of marketing, is that you have to be able to see it. So you can look and you can learn and look at it from that point of view, not just what are they saying, but how did they decide strategically to send this to me? If you are wanting to grow in the business side of having a personal platform, you need the email list. This is what differentiates between just a YouTube channel that is pretty good YouTube channel, but that's not a business, or a hobby blogger or a church blogger. It's these email list skills. It's the first thing that you need to start growing. So it's going to be useful to you for a couple of reasons. First, you need to be able to use the tools to grow your community of readers and to build that connection. But also, if you're wanting ideas for side gigs, if you're wanting to grow your income from your platform, one of the easiest things that you can do is to offer to somebody else, hey, would you like some help with your email list? I mean, because there's a lot of people out there that have a pretty good YouTube channel and they have a pretty decent audience, but they don't know anything about email lists. And so if you offer that to them, they might say yes. There are other people that already have an email list. They know the importance, but it's just a recurring task and they're wanting more free time. So offer to take that off of their plate, offer to do something for them. So this skill of knowing the best practices, knowing how to run an email list, I would definitely encourage you to invest in it. Position yourself as somebody who knows how to do that. It's very strategic. So right now I manage 4 email newsletters. One is my own, and I also manage 3 others, and I get paid to do all the other 3. So I hope that gives you an idea of the level of demand that there is for this kind of work. I found it's actually easier to get this kind of work than a lot of the other kinds of work that I've offered to people. So let me give you 2 resources for how to get to know what to do to use newsletters. The 2 best that I can recommend are Pat Flynn has a free training called How to Start an Email List. It's at smartpassiveincome.com/tutorials/how to start an email list. I'll put that in the YouTube notes. And then number 2 is Nathan Barry of ConvertKit. He has one called Understanding the Benefits of Email Marketing, a Guide for Online Creators. It's at convertkit.com/issues/benefits of email marketing. I'll give you the link to that. So that's the basic introduction of thinking like somebody who is growing a business, thinking in terms of your email list. Our next point is going to be number 2, deciding your offer. I'll take a pause before I move into that. Questions? Okay, moving forward. So number 2, deciding your offer. The basic point on this is that you need to write a plan for yourself, and you need to write it just for yourself before you write it for somebody else to read. Because break it into steps. It's way easier that way. So think first about the work that you know how to do, and choose at least 2 different things that you could do and that perhaps you would enjoy doing. And then write out what it would look like in bullet points if somebody were to pay you to do that. So let me give you an example of a couple offers. So here's 2 offers that I have at my website. One is for a personal coaching program, which is 90 days one-on-one coaching. So it says this program provides 90 days of one-on-one coaching, mentorship, and accountability. We'll work with you to grow your audience and increase your bottom line. The plan includes a custom roadmap for the next 90 days. We will take an in-depth look at your project and your goals for it and deliver a tailor-made plan. Then you will have twice monthly coaching calls, at least 30 minutes, and we'll define and implement the best growth path for you. The coaching is done by phone or by Zoom. Replay recordings are delivered each week. We'll also deliver accountability for your goals by email each week, a weekly assignment and check-ins. And you'll also get video training for any technical skills that you need. I will set up something for you and record myself doing it, send you the video replay. You can receive all that above, the custom roadmap, the coaching calls, the accountability, and the video training, and find out what you can accomplish in 90 days of clear, focused action. To meet a personal coach and receive a free initial strategy session, click below and we'll get back to you. And then the button says meet a personal coach. Now, I'll have the swipe file available for you if you want to use that, and you can adapt it for your own needs. But if you wanted to start coaching other people on some skill, in this case, the skill was how to grow your audience, but it could be other things, how to be a video editor, how to have a great YouTube channel, how to be a professional, this or that, how to do this or that hobby. It doesn't have to be a money-making thing. It could be fishing. It could be collecting something. Whatever it is that you're really excited about and that you're writing about on your personal platform. If you can help people get even better at that, then there's a natural connection. Somebody reads your blog and then they think, oh, I really do want to get better at that. So that's the kind of thing that you should probably coach them on. Let me give you one other example of an offer written out. So this is an example of implementation. We offer consulting and implementation services for online projects, including email and web design, writing and editing, social media, podcast, and video. For all applications, our first step is to work together to create a custom roadmap. You notice this roadmap thing keeps coming up. And we'll work with you to identify your project goal. We'll design a plan to achieve it in a certain time frame. We'll deliver you a custom roadmap showing each step and what's involved. And then with your custom roadmap and the system that we're going to deliver with it, you can opt either to take the keys and to do it yourself, or you can pay us for our done-for-you service, and we'll actually build it out for you. So help us understand the results that you're looking for, and we will help you understand the steps to get there. To apply, click below, and we'll get back to you soon. And the button says, Get a Project Roadmap. You can see what that would be like. I'll build your website, or I will create videos for you, or that kind of thing. So take the above 2 examples that I've just given, and you can adapt it to any number of services that you could do. So here's just a list of ideas: line editor, or a content editor for someone's book or their blog. You can offer to be a guest host. If somebody has a hard time getting their ideas out, say, I'll be your guest host and I'll interview you. And then I'll take care of putting it up on the internet or whatever. You could be an outreach assistant. My job is to make initial contact on behalf of you to someone else and to introduce them to what you're doing. So, you find somebody that's selling ad space on their website. Hey, I'll do outreach for you because I know that's a pain. You could be a transcriptionist. You could be a content assistant or virtual assistant. I'm going to take 15 of your articles that you already have at your blog, and I'm going to turn them into an ebook. And that's something that you could do in a day. But the other person might think, wow, that's cool. I would love to have that. You could design graphics for them or design a PDF book. You could design slides. You could be their audio assistant for their podcast. Take out the ums, take out the coughs. Social media assistant. You could be the person who checks their Facebook page messages and make sure that there's nobody cursing them out on their page, and just checks in once a day for a little, $100 a month. Check in once a day on their social media. You could design graphics. I think I mentioned that. You could be their assistant for their website. Like they don't like managing their website. They like writing, but they don't want to do the uploading. or they don't like checking for broken links and fixing all these things, or doing their SEO, their search engine optimization, anything that somebody that's creating content would consider to be kind of important, but a pain, you can do it for them. And also editing video, or designing a funnel, designing a sales funnel. There's an example of one that I've just recently created at adrobles.com, ADROBLES.com. And you can see, I made him a web page. I made him an email capture form. I made him a lead magnet, which is, you give your email address and you'll get a little video series, a training about social justice and how to combat social justice. And so I set up his email list to deliver that free training. It's a whole funnel. By funnel, what I mean is it's just a system, an automated system where people can find him and get to know him and get on his email list and potentially donate to his Patreon page. That's the call to action. So then, as you have decided which kinds of things you know how to do, which kinds of things you'd enjoy doing, the next thing is say to yourself, I will help this kind of person do this kind of task. And let me give you some examples of what that looks like. I help Christian political writers grow their reach on social media using automated tools. Or I help pro-life advocacy groups conduct their donor outreach. So you choose a general kind of a person, and then a general kind of a thing you could do for them. I help pastors turn their Bible study into curriculum and books that they can sell on Amazon. That's something that if you love the Word of God, that you could do it and it would be beneficial for you, but it would also be a way to generate income. I help ministry leadership bloggers manage their email newsletters. I help family bloggers get their blogs looking really great with web design and graphics, because that's what family bloggers need. I help theological writers create podcasts and videos because they don't know how to do that, but they need to. I help Christian writers and speakers develop and polish their content by interviewing them and creating and editing transcripts. See, these are the kinds of things that you could do. So you just have to pick a direction and get started. Now, it's probably going to be different once you get started. Once you actually try it out, you'll find out whether there's a demand for it, and you'll find out whether you enjoy doing it. Let me pause for questions.
Sure. I mean, I don't really have a question directly, but Cody has been working with me on this quite a bit over the years, and my online audience has grown quite a bit. Like, I remember when you and I first met, you were talking with me about writing Medium articles, and I was like, well, why do I need Medium? I can write articles and post them on my website. But then when I started writing with you, one of my first articles got over 100,000 views. And it's been quite an incredible ride. So Cody actually helped me with putting together my newsletter. And my newsletter is something I send out to people whenever I create new content. So I have a YouTube audience, I have a Medium audience, I do stuff on Amazon, and a couple other places online. So it's kind of hard for my fans to say, okay, I'm going to follow Greg in all these different places and get emails from all these different websites. Instead, it's a lot more convenient for them to say, hey, when Greg uploads a new piece of content, he's going to email me, and I'm going to be able to say, okay, here's a new short story with a sci-fi angle, or here's a new YouTube video about genetics and maybe some kind of social thing that's going on. So it's been quite helpful, having these different platforms and also having this newsletter.
So we've just covered number 1 and 2, how to think as somebody growing a business and deciding your offer. Let's talk about publicizing your offer. This is number 3. So you have options here. And these are some basic things that you can do that are very low-hanging fruit. That is, you should, if you already have a web presence, make sure that your web presence is telling people about your offer. So at the end of your blog post, did you know that I do this kind of thing? Click here and I can help you do it. Or if you'd like to, on your social media bio, you can have a little link that says, click here to find out how to work with me. And that can go to either just a page that you set up. You could write a Medium article and link to the Medium article that says, here's what I do. So it's just free. Or if you want to, you can use Typeform. typeform.com. And that's a way of saying, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then I'll get in touch with you. You can also add a link to the Typeform in your email signature. It makes sense if you have places where you are online, that everywhere that people can find you, they find out how they can work with you. Now, these are just basic kinds of actions that you do one time, and then it's all set up and it's done. And they're not going to bring you a flood of clients if you have a small audience right now. But they're nice because you only have to do them once. And because then later on, if somebody decides to go looking for how they can get in touch with you, it won't be inconvenient. It will be easy for them. So now you're probably not going to find a ton of clients by these strategies. So the next thing to do is think about how you're going to find clients personally. So that brings us to number 4, which is getting to know potential clients. So having your own active social media presence and your blog, that's going to make it a bit easier to meet people because you actually have an occasion to initiate contact. So I already have a blog. Greg already has a blog. I contact Greg and I say, hey, I like your blog. Let's talk about it. We have something to talk about. Hey, let's do an interview together because you have a YouTube channel. Could we do an interview together? You have an occasion to start a conversation with somebody who already has a platform. If you have a platform, it doesn't matter if your platform is big or little. That really doesn't come up. So that's a great way to find clients. But you don't look at it from the perspective of, oh, there's somebody I need to get to talk to them so they can be a client right now. It's more, there's somebody who's doing something I like. I want to know them. And you start with that. So I will tell you, I'm working with Judd Saul right now. And now after working with him as a volunteer for several months, he's now paying me to manage his website. And let me tell you how I got in contact with him. A friend of mine said, you need to know this guy. And so he introduced me to him over Facebook. And we started talking. And then at some point I interviewed him on my YouTube channel because I wanted to help him promote his film. This is just a free thing. I'll just interview you. But after the interview, we started talking and I asked him, so tell me more about the film, about the marketing. And it turned out that there was a need there for some help with some of the things. And I said, well, you know, I'd be happy to do it. I'll do it for free for now. And later on we can talk if there's any bigger projects that you want me to do as a paid thing. But for now I can do small projects here and there for free. So over time we got to know each other. I built some trust and then he was willing to invest in me because I had already invested in him. And that's the generosity attitude that it takes if you're going to grow your personal network in this way. The cool thing is a lot of these people that I've worked with, they all know each other too. And so there's a lot of trust there when your network all knows each other. And you know, everybody can ask, so is he good to work with? You know who to talk to. So that was how I got working with Judd. And you know, I want to say, if you're thinking it's awkward to give a sales pitch, well, it can be awkward. And so starting with a personal relationship first, and then doing a little bit of project work together without any exchange of money can be a good way to make it so that it's not awkward when later on you say, you know what, by the way, I'd like to do this big project, but I would have to charge for that. Is that something that you'd want to do? It's simple. You just say yes or no. So if you already know people that have a platform and that are intentional and that really are go-getters, those are the kind of people that potentially you want to build rapport with. Find out what they're doing. Listen to them. They will tell you what they're working on. They'll tell you what their challenges are or what's a pain for them. And then at that point, you'll know whether it's a good fit for something that you can offer or maybe somebody that you know could do it for them. All right, let's go into the next topic, which is making the sale. This is something that a lot of people get kind of uncomfortable about. How do you have this actual conversation about money? So here's my overall advice. When making a sale, I suggest you set up a specific time to talk through the details of your sales arrangement. So when you're having a sales discussion, the other person needs to know going into it that it's going to be a sales discussion. It never feels good when somebody gets on the phone with you and you're talking and then all of a sudden it turns into a sales discussion, because it's kind of like, I didn't see that coming. I wanted a chance to know that that was what you're going to do. But if you know ahead of time going into it, we're going to talk through whether or not we're a good fit to work together and what our arrangement will be. Then people both have that, and it's a different situation. So typically a sales discussion goes like this. Tell me about what you're needing. What will that look like in detail? And then would you like to hear about what I can offer? Here's what I can offer, and here's the steps that I would do if we were going to work together. Would you like to get started? If they say yes, then you collect payment. That's just a quick outline of what a sales conversation looks like, but it's just what you need. And then You want me to tell you what I can do? Would you like to get started? It's not that complicated. So when you do offer steps for a project, I do suggest offer phases. Offer a roadmap first. And a roadmap is called paid discovery. What that means is, say Greg were to ask me, Cody, I would like you to record a video for me. And it's going to be like a 1 hour video project, 1 hour long video. That's a big project. And so then I would say, well, I need to figure out how much time this is going to take me and how much work it's going to take me. And it might even take me half an hour to figure out how big this project is. So then I'm going to say, Greg, let's do a half an hour consultation, and that will be $50. That'll be $200, whatever it is, depending on your relationship and your price point. They have to pay you for you to do the work to discover how much you're going to charge them. Paid discovery. And then after that, you write out a plan. And what's cool is you can give them that plan, and it's like a menu. And it says, if you'd like tier 1 of service, it includes this. If you'd like tier 2, it's a premium, it includes this and this. And that way you're offering them what you think you can do, and you're estimating how much it's worth to you to do all that work. And they can choose, and they can, if they want, they can walk away. And they have only a small investment so far. So it's trust builds in tiers. Just a little bit of trust, a little bit of trust. They pay you a little bit, you do a little bit of work. They pay you a little more, do you a little more work. And typically if you can arrange the project in phases, it's a good idea. So, like there's the roadmap, and then there's phase 1, which would be building the thing. And then there's phase 2, which would be overseeing the thing once it's built, or whatever you imagine. If it's a website, developing the website or even planning it could be one step. Writing the copy could be one step. And then building it could be another step. And then marketing it and getting exposure to it could be another step. So you want to break it into pieces, do them piece by piece, and have each piece be on a time frame. It starts this day and it stops that day. That way there's not this obligation that goes on forever. It needs to be defined. Make sure that you establish communication expectations ahead of time. I will be available this much, not necessarily available at 10 o'clock at night. If I message you, I want to expect that you'll be able to get back to me within a day, or that kind of thing. So then you deliver the project, whether it's a website or a draft or whatever it is that you're doing. And then step 6, collect testimonials. So this is something that a lot of people forget, but if you're trying to grow your business, collecting testimonials is so helpful, because then you can put it on your marketing collateral. Also, somebody is much more likely to recommend you to other people if they've just given you a good testimonial. So what you do is you collect testimonial, and then right after that, you ask them for referrals. So when you collect a testimonial, you can ask questions like this. These are from Don Miller. He says, what was the problem that you were having before we started working together? Fill in the blank. What was it like when you were trying to solve that problem? What was different once we started working together? When did you start seeing that you were getting a change from working together? What is different for you now, having worked on this phase of the project together? Each one of these sentences is carefully designed so that somebody's going to answer the question in a way that works really well as a blurb. Because you'll say, I was trying to build my site and I didn't know how to do it. I was stuck. It was pretty frustrating. But immediately, as soon as I started working with Cody, I saw a huge improvement, and the site was built quickly, and I really loved it. That's a testimonial right there. So that's important to get that testimonial. And then as soon as somebody has said all those nice things about you, ask them, do you know of anybody else who could use my services? That's the time, because they probably do. All right. Out of all of the things we've covered today, we're on the last item, which is number 7, A/B testing growth tactics. Now, A/B testing, that means you try 2 different things and you compare the results, and then you continue doing the one that's working the best. This is a mindset that you need to have in all areas of what you're doing if you want to be a business person, so that you can track return on investment. You always want to be improving, finding better ways to give people what they need and what they want. So always have some kind of A/B test going. And here's one way that could take shape. You could have 2 different offers. I offer coaching, I offer implementation services. And over time, I'm going to see which one of those is returning my investment. I compare how much time it took me to do it, how much income I get from it. Another way of doing A/B testing is, let's say my goal is to grow my email list. Well, I can split test between 2 different approaches. One is running Facebook ads, and the other is running viral giveaways. I can see which one has a better return, keep that one, keep doing it, and then toss the other one or change the other one. Maybe I want to keep the Facebook ads, but I'm not going to do the viral giveaways, and now I'm going to try partnerships. Partnerships would be, I say to Greg, I wrote this free thing. It's a PDF. Could you send an email to your list about it? And for people to get it, they have to get on my email list. And maybe Greg does that for me. So it's a lead magnet swap. That kind of partnership can be very effective if you have other people that are within the same audience size as you that are interested in doing it. So anyway, you try these different things, you compare the results. How much time did it take? How much money did it take? And then you keep doing what's working best. So to review, we've learned today how to think as somebody growing a business, decide your offer and publicize your offer, get to know potential clients, make sales, collect testimonials, and use A/B testing growth tactics. So to wrap up in this video today, I wanted to remind you that what we are talking about, it all fits into a bigger picture from previous videos of how you can scale up a business using this framework that I told you about in previous videos, which is you move from one-to-one to one-to-many. The things that we talked about today, we focused on one-to-one type income, coaching, doing some kind of service, being a virtual assistant of some kind. That's the reason we started there is because it's the easiest thing to do as you're just getting started out. But keep in mind that this freelancing and coaching, that's something that you can later on add other streams to. So being a teacher of a small group workshop, or getting a consistent writing position at a website where you're not always hunting for new clients because you're just consistently working with one client. Or you want to be a paid speaker, or you want to sell lots and lots of books to your enormous email list, or you want to do affiliate marketing or sell advertising. You can sell advertising spots on your email list once it's big, right? So that's the kind of things that will open up once you have the one-to-many option. But you have to start somewhere. And I think that the way to start is by thinking, how can I this week generate income from my platform? You have that mindset, and that will rule out a lot of things. And that will tell you what you could do right now and what you probably should do right now. Let me remind you of the verses that I opened up with in the recording in Luke. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Would you not first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Well, I'm going to challenge you as somebody who's wanting to grow a platform. Have you counted the cost as far as the time that it's going to take, the knowledge that you're going to have to gain, the network you're going to have to build, financial investment sometimes? Have you counted the cost? Is this something you really want to do? The people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. If you had not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. And that's what we are doing as people who are telling truth and generating income by doing it. We are being intentional about building a wealth for ourselves and for others. Thank you for watching today, and I look forward to sharing with you more in the future about how you can grow your platform for God's glory.